welcome to another episode of Baking Alternatives with an Amateur Chef. Today I am doing something a little bit differently. We're gonna jump right in. I am making soft pretzels for Super Bowl, all from scratch. And I thought I would try something a little different since I normally make sweets. And as much as I love my chocolate, I wanted to try something a little different this time. So a lot of this will be like sped up, or I'll explain some of the steps like all together after I've done them, just because it is kind of a long process and I don't want you to be watching a 30-minute video. So I'll try to explain things as I go along, why I'm doing them, what substitutes I'm doing per usual, and I will have the recipe linked at the end of the video. If you have any questions, you can always look there. I saw the word Auntie Anne's dupe, and that was the recipe I clicked without much research. So we'll see how it goes. I did have to substitute a lot of things because I couldn't really find, a lot of the ingredients were just strange. So I will kind of explain why I'm substituting them, what I'm using alternatives for, and how it will kind of keep the integrity of the recipe. Yeah, so let's jump in. To get started, I have my favorite, my beautiful standing mixer, the original, several years old, decades old. She's still here. The recipe says use the paddle attachment, which I find surprising since we're we are making a bread recipe, basically. We're not gonna use Captain Hook. 3 cups of flour. Now, instead of using tapioca starch or flour, which I obviously do not have, I will be substituting with cornstarch. So, tapioca starch or flour, which may not sound familiar. I actually had to research what it was for because I didn't know either. But since we are using a gluten-free flour, which obviously does not have gluten in it, we do need to add some sort of binding agent, because gluten, first and foremost, is a binding agent. Like, that's why our breads and our bagels and our pretzels are the way they are. To substitute, we will be adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, since cornstarch is a binding agent. Yummy, yummy yeast. Doesn't really fit, but about 1 tablespoon. Oh, which in this case is pretty much the whole package. 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, our activating agent. 1/4 cup of brown sugar. That was on me. Yeah. Now that I've managed to dirty myself and all the surrounding area in under 5 minutes, let's add liquid ingredients. 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Oh, a little more than 1 teaspoon. 1 egg white I worked very hard for. Four tablespoons of butter at room temperature. 1½ cups of warm milk. We're gonna mix very, 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 very slowly. All right, while she's kind of going a bit, I am just ignoring her. I'm going to explain the next 2 substitutes that I do have. I did actually write down, I know it'll be backwards for you, but I did write down all of the substitutions and the conversions. So I did that off camera because if, rather me struggle than us struggle together. So the first thing we're going to go over is the 1/2 cup of buttermilk powder we were supposed to add. So I obviously do not have buttermilk powder. What I do have though is a cup of milk and I had to double check, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. it's quite gross, to be honest. I may add a little bit more flour since I just added more liquid than we needed. And then for the 1/4 teaspoon of the cream of tartar I was supposed to add, I am going to be adding a 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice. I'm going to kind of explain what all the lemon juice is about and the vinegar and everything. But the thing is, when you are taking out things like the cream of tartar sauce, or not sauce, cream of tartar powder, whatever. When you're taking out stuff like that, and then the buttermilk powder, of course, you are losing out on some of the acidity in those ingredients. So buttermilk is obviously more acidic than like whole milk. And so when you are putting in alternatives for stuff like that, you have to counteract that with some of the acidity from like lemon juice or the vinegar. When it goes to bake, it's not a floppy mess, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that well. I'm gonna add some more flour. As you saw before, I had rolled out the dough and, oh, that looks good. Oh, never mind, that one may just be broken. As you saw before, I had rolled out the dough in pieces, made them into little pretzels, all that kind of thing. I had let the dough rise for about an hour, and then I stuck it in the fridge for about half an hour, just to kind of make sure the dough was like not sticky or anything. I still had some troubles with it, but I just put a lot of flour. So what I'm doing right now after all of that is I am boiling the dough. They do this with bagels as well, so what I've done is I put 6 cups of water, a teaspoon of salt, and then a tablespoon of baking soda, and it's like a baking soda bath, I think is what they call it. And then I'm just sticking them in there, and I'm letting it kind of sit there for about a minute or so, and then I'm making sure that the water is like rolling, boiling. So if you look, like she's going pretty hard, and you want it to stay that way because if it's any cooler, the water, then the pretzel on the dough will actually fall apart and like disintegrate, and you don't want that. Alright, so after I did the baking soda bath with the pretzels, I stuck them in the oven for 400 degrees for around 15 minutes and just kind of let them cook, and then I just coated them in butter and salt. So let's give them a taste test. As I'm sure you can see, there's about 3 whole pretzels, and that's kind of it. The rest of them kind of fell apart in the baking soda bath, which is totally fine. Now they're just like cute little pretzel bites. So let's give one a try. They have like a nice golden brown. Okay. They're not like light and fluffy. Like they're kind of dense. I don't know if you can see. But they're really good. Like they taste like a soft pretzel. These were salt. Okay. Okay, this wasn't a flop like the lunch lady brownies. Okay, so definitely recommend. Though they may have turned out better if you like didn't substitute like 5 bajillion different things like I did. But I will have the recipe linked down below here. And I think like my #1 tip for these would be to just make sure that you're getting the right consistency for the dough, because I think if you don't put it in the fridge while it's rising, it'll get really sticky and it won't like solidify and all that. Otherwise though, I think these turned out really well. So I'll catch you in the next episode. Stay sweet.